Okay, I am actually live, and let me check if everything works as intended, because I have set up a lot of automation. Let's see if automation works. This is one of the most important things. Automation is going to work or not. Let me check. Let me check. Okay. Let's see. Hello there, guys. Hello. I'm checking if automation is working because I'm trying to connect multiple accounts and stuff to Twitter, to Discord, in order to make my life easier. My bot should now tell everyone that I am live, but my bot seems to sleep, or is it should be doing this. Why is not? Are permissions wrong? He has all permissions, so he can do whatever he wants. Maybe it's just a bit of delay. Okay, okay, it's going. Amazing, it's going. This is really good. Okay. And then I have this other system for Twitter, and this is not working right now. I need to study it a little bit. Okay, so yeah, there is a bit of delay. Yeah, I am today streaming from a new super wide monitor, and so streaming is much easier now. I can check out a lot of things all together inside my monitor. I have the editor in front of me, and then I have streaming services. I have Twitter, Discord, everything on the side, so you can see everything. This is very good. Hello, Disco Commandos. So, I will probably share a picture of this new monitor on the community, on the YouTube community. And so Twitch is working. Perfect. Okay, yes, just Twitter is not working, is not sharing my Twitch. I would like to share it too, but I can live without for today. So, what are we going to do today? I am not going to continue working on this cinematic because this cinematic, the first one, is almost done. And I also changed a bit of stuff by discussing with my patrons and a lot of other people, very expert in the lore. I have actually decided to stop using the teleportation slash magic and use a more traditional air transport instead. Okay, so it's a bit more similar to the original from that point of view, but I will keep it as a surprise. Today I'm going to prepare to all the necessary regions and units to make these other cinematic, the second and last cinematic of this stream, of this map, sorry, which is the cinematic where Arthas betrays his own mercenaries. So let's see. We have some lines for the last cinematic. Let me check the lines.
Damn beast!
No, this is not the first one. There should be.
Quickly, my warriors!
Okay, it's the 21. Captain 20.
Prince Arthas.
Okay, this is the line from which it starts. And so we need to actually have Arthas a bit found in odd position. I mean, not really very clear position. I don't want to show him destroying a ship, of course, because it will be dumb otherwise. But I have to show him doing something that's strange, like, what the hell are you doing here, Arthas? And I would like to do so in this area. This area, though, presents a problem, because this area has not a lot of space for me to work with. So I think I have to use this area here. This is the area I actually need to use. This is quite necessary because I need a bit of space. So let's start laying down stuff and imagine what could happen. So we should have these trees, of course, cut down by the peasants during the mission, and then we should have like some units coming. Units speaking are the knight,
Kill them all!
footman,
Damn beasts!
and the captain. So we could actually just have a party of units like that, and we show also some priests. And don't be worried, yes, this is showing the Frozen Throne skin, but in game it's actually a Reign of Chaos skin, okay? And then on the rear we should have some peasants around, like that, all ready to leave with some lumber or sacks, or bags, sorry. And then we have these, and maybe something like that. And then we have, of course, our beloved Captain Valenforth. And here he is. Okay, so something like that, a very odd situation. And then we need to show Arthas doing something here. Of course, the ship is here, but I think for the sake of the cinematic I can move the ship here. The ship should not be actually a real unit ship that you can destroy, but should be a decoration, because this decoration can be placed outside of the camera bounds. And these camera bounds, you cannot place units behind them, okay? You have to make sure your units are always within the enlightened area, which is inside the camera bounds. By placing it here, when you are playing a cinematic, the shadow is not shown, so you can see everything here as if it was normal. Of course, unit cannot travel through there, but we don't need them to, okay? So we have this big boat and a bit higher here, like that, and then we should use a bit of fire around it. So we can use, let's hope it works in the new editor. Yes, it does. A bit of fire here, like we want to show. Select. I hate this. Okay. Let's see here, and a bit small here. Then something a bit bigger here. Okay. Like that is enough. We don't want it to be enlightened like a Christmas tree, okay? So we have something like this, maybe a bit up, couple step, and we need to have some mercenaries trapped between Arthas and his men. Why I say they should be trapped between them? Because if you are a mercenary and your leader is betraying you, you should, well, you can escape, you can try to run. In this case they don't run, but they fight till their death. And to make this more logical, they should be not any chance to leave. Okay, so I think they should be here. How can I decide which kind of unit could be here? Well, actually, I will prepare a script which check how many units you have. So if you have a group of mercenary, it will show units of that kind. If you don't have any mercenary, or if you attack the other mercenaries, because you can attack a couple of mercenaries camp, you will have only trappers, which are mandatory and you cannot attack, okay? Because they are human, I guess. Up to this point, Arthas still don't kill humans, okay? Oh, at least. Not non-plagued humans. So, let's place here some of them. And so we have neutral, and we have melee, and we have Northrend. And I think we should have a couple of ice trolls, an ice troll and an ice troll priest. They make most sense, I think, together with a couple nice Tuskers. This is wrong. Okay, and here we have the Tuskers. So smaller units, because we don't want to have the scale of creeps to make the cinematic ports. Okay, this is quite good actually. Yes, this could be fine, something like that. And after that, maybe here, and here, like they are mercenaries, but they are separate groups of mercenaries. And then we have the trappers, which are custom units here. And I think we could go with one of these and one of that. I would probably have this fixed. If you have a troll, you will see these. If you have a Tusker, you will see them. If you have trappers, or if you don't have anything else, you will see them, okay? At least you will see the trappers, and you might also see them depending on the fact you have them hired or not. Okay, actually I think instead of parsing how many units you currently have at the end of the mission, it makes sense to check if you have actually hired those units or not. So if those units have been hired at least once and you have not betrayed them before, because you can also do this, then they will be shown in the cinematic. Okay, so this is the main what we should see here. And of course we need to have Arthas somewhere. In this case I don't want to show Muradin close, because I think Muradin should actually be behind. And not only him, but also other two important people should be behind, because they follow Arthas in everything. But I don't think they should approve something like that. Anyway, to show that they are even more faithful to Arthas than Muradin, which is a friend and not a loyal servant, we could try to make them a bit closer to Arthas, maybe, as if Muradin don't want to actually participate in something like this. Something like that. And then we have, of course, our brave man Arthas, which I think should be found here in a kneel down position, watching the sunken ship with the fire, and with the mercenaries on the back, probably watching this other way, like watching him. And a bit more here and here, I think. Let me see, maybe something like that. And then when we have a close-up here, a close-up shot, and so we probably have something with the boat. I can probably make it a bit bigger now. I will increase it a bit because it's too small. I have to edit the object data to do that, so I will do that in a second. But to give you an idea, you should see this ship destroyed. Arthas here watching it. I don't even know if probably this could be a good shot, showing the sea here, the former base camp, and Muradin, and the two loyal captains behind him, and then this ship destroyed. And then we just change the shot here. We show them, so we don't need to have them actually move. We can show them just being there, because we you should always remember when you make a cinematic that what you don't see don't exist. So if you had to do something that has a lot of interaction, I suggest you to actually make things happen in the background, because you might not know what the shot you are taking will be. And in this case though, they will not be visible at all. Okay, so we will do this, and with all those mercenaries watching Arthas and that, and then he arrives and says, Prince Arthas, and here now I should zoom in towards him while he says that, with all the units, all the mercenaries turning to him. Okay, so we see we have 4 soldiers here, and then we have Arthas that should be standing by that moment, no longer kneeled, and he should actually turn around and say, move soldiers, this beast destroyed your ships, and then they charge, and this will be basically the only real movement action we will have here. They will charge here, and then these all will die. On this is done, we have this other dialogue, which is this one.
Listen to me, all of you. There is no way home for any of us save through victory. In this land, we will stand or fall together. Now, return to the base and man your posts.
Okay, this is a very powerful speech. And just like the speech he gave when he says, we need to burn all the ships, this one makes you think that perhaps it should be similar to the culling in a way. So for that scene, I will show all of them dead. I will just produce the sound, so I show them charge, starting to fight but not showing the fight. They will be all dead then on Fade to Black, and I will show their corpses. Okay, once I've shown the corpses, we will add these units here close by. I will probably show also a couple footmen dead, so we will probably increase the amount of footmen here. Okay, or maybe also put them here and put a couple more knights here just to have more charge. But this is some detail thing. And we can have some units here. We can have something like that, and a knight, and they will get closer. Okay, they will be here at this point. Arthas instead will be here, a bit closer, speaking to his men. And we will not show Arthas from its front. We will show him from its back. And you should think that there is no Arthas here. There are no captains there. And Muradin, though. Muradin will still be there. And maybe a bit closer, I don't know. Maybe it could be a bit closer, just to show that. But I think also in the distance could be good. And he should move his head, like saying no. He should shake his hand when Arthas says all those things. And this should actually leading you to the first cinematic and the first sentence and the first dialogue of Muradin in the following map, which is also the last one. All clear, this is my quick idea. This cinematic should be fairly easier to make with respect to the first one, because we have a lot less stuff moving. We have just some charge, and we can use some shots, with some clever shots, to do this easily. Greetings, Orjane. About the trapper, would it make sense of Arthas to ask his men to kill those creatures if they are mercenary humans? Actually, yes, because you might agree with me that while this is a human, this is quite different from a Lord-drawn human. And I think these murderous creatures, which is what he uses, could also be referred to bandits or stuff like that, especially people who which seems to live in a very different place. I think murderous creatures will be a very, very good way for people in the medieval age to refer to Vikings, for example, okay? Because of course Vikings are usually regarded as violent and alien to the people of that time. And so I think this should also apply here. So I think the sentence still makes sense, okay? So this is why I chose the trapper. Hey there, Danzon. Welcome to the stream. So, what do you think of this? Do you think it's fitting? It should be just an improvement over the original version. I like this yes, they will be mercilessly, oh my god, this word, killing human, yes, but these should not be, they are not the same humans. I mean, in our world, people merciless kill humans all the time, because, well, there is nothing else to kill. And so, I think that here it makes quite sense because of that. They are quite different from Lordaeron people. I mean, there is a bit of a stretch, but I think it's not that big of a stretch. We can bear with him, and this way I can show the actually mercenary Arthas should have used in this context, because they are part of the mercenary group. It should make sense. I added also our beloved Tuskers, which are quite nice. Who will kill these? This is incredibly nice and cute. I mean, like a puppy. And would you kill something like that? It looks like a very big fat puppy. Or that one, old puppy. Okay, we have a lot of. Yes, no Northern Ogress here. Northern Ogress will be retconned away for the sake of everything that's right. Okay. So, like the last time, we need to prepare to set up all the regions and cameras. And let's start with one of the two. We can easily start with regions, and should be fairly easy. I think we should have a couple units, sorry, 1 second. And I also want to show that these riflemen will actually be there with Muradin instead of being there with Arthas, as if they are actually not convinced 100% that this is the right thing to do. And of course, if I show here a mortar team should also appear here. Okay, this makes quite a lot of sense, and by clever use of shots, it should not feel strange. It should feel quite realistic, actually. And we are working really on really close by to the edge of the map. So we need to go here, and we need first of all to change the max possible size of the destroyed ship. You just edit that button, go for a big value, and then you can go to the dot palette and increase the size a bit. It makes sense to have this size increased. Let me move this a bit. Let me replace this, reposition these two. So you have that here, close to the door, and you have that here. Perfect. Okay, so now we have that, and we can start placing regions. We will copy regions from the first cinematic. So we have this one. Let me remove water, because water is not that great. Scene 02, Arthas 00, and we then have scene 02, Arthas 01. I don't think there is any need for Arthas to charge to his home mercenaries, because I mean this can just happen off screen. The important part is that he tells his men to attack them. It's not that he attacks them by himself. It's not. This is not the point. so I don't need to show an action more. Actually, I would like to have this cinematic be quite fast. Yeah, Tuskar model on Northrend. Who would have thought? We also have Arachnitid. How are they called? Hello there, little boys. Okay, let me go back here. Okay, so Arthas, then we have Balon Fort. And then the second Balon Fort. We then have Falric. And we have Marvin. Then we have Murden, which will not change position. And this is something meaningful. And we have this one. I have done this quite a lot of time before because, for example, in some maps, I think of the interlude before Stratholm. You can see when Arthas say to Jaina, "Okay, I don't care if that madman asks in the future." I've shown Jaina moving his head. I want to show that people are not people who are not really on the side of Arthas. They are by his side to help him, but they don't really believe in what he is doing. And this is something I think very important to do, because it adds character to the characters. It adds depth, which is often sorely lacking. Okay, so we have now a footman. So we have footman A00, footman B00, footman C00. Oh no, sorry, this is wrong. Okay, this is right. It's late here, quite tired. D00. And then we have A 01, B 01, and then these two will be dead. So we'll add one here. Yeah, I will add that here to remember myself. I need to turn them dead. And here. And now we have the priest. One priest. Zero, zero, 01. Then I have one rifleman. Rifleman A01. We have Rifleman B. And when could we move him? We could kill him. Bye bye, Rifleman B. And we will add him here. Let me check. Perfect. Then we have two knights. So we have knights A. And then knights B. And then these will be knights A. And we will add also knights B. Like here. I don't want him to be dead because knights are very strong. And they should be able to handle this kind of units. Okay. Now we have mortar team. Mortar Team A, Mortar Team 00. Are you really asking me that? Disco Commandos. Do you have any idea of how big the work these campaigns is still to do? And you are asking me if I want to go on making other campaigns like my own? I think by the time I have finished, maybe the game will not have that an active user base so big. I don't know. It depends even if I can finish, because it depends on many things, guys. I mean, I would love to make custom campaigns, but it's difficult to make something the quality of Re-Reforged if you don't have voice acting, okay? So of course you can do some stuff really good, even stuff inspired by World of Warcraft, but I'm really trying not to think about that at the moment, because it's really too early. It's just too early. It's too hard to answer this question. No, I don't have any previous work of mine, at least in Warcraft 3. I have some stuff in StarCraft 2. Specifically, I made the Rock the Cabinet entry mercenary business for the 2017 contest Blizzard made. I was one of the finalists, so that was actually my first real published custom map. It was done in StarCraft 2. I also made quite a bit of libraries and technology, I would say, for StarCraft 2. And then I moved on to Unity, and then I stopped working on Unity when Reforged came out. Yes, I love making games. I think that if I have the resources, the time and the money to make something the quality I want, and as you can see the quality is usually, well, AAA quality, then I will probably make my own game. Okay, this is the point. And I think doing this, it's important for the game, for Warcraft 3. And I think this is something that Warcraft 3 deserves. Deserves a AAA quality campaign. This is something that Warcraft 3 has right to have. Okay, but making custom campaigns with this quality is almost as hard as making your own game in a commercial engine. And since you cannot sell these kind of things, I mean, it would be the wisest choice. Of course, there are a lot of variables in that. I mean, if when I finish, I have a big Patreon page and a lot of supporters, and they ask me to do something else, well, why not? This is the point. But of course, as I always said from the beginning, this has to be economically viable to me. Right now, this is nice. I mean, more than I expected for sure, but not economically viable if I had not another work. I have a real work, and so I can do this in my free time. But if this was only my only work, I will not be there speaking with you probably. Okay, so this is okay. C and D. And now we have all the others. We have only two here. I will add more of them. Okay. Oh, okay, this is the footman here. So we need to move the footman a bit here. And place you here. Okay. Am I done? Not yet, because I'm still missing the mercenaries. Poor mercenaries. So we have here. This is troll. This is troll priest. This is Tusker spearman. This is Tusker warrior. This is, I call these trapper warriors. So this is trapper warrior and trapper shaman. So this is trapper warrior. And then trapper shaman. Okay. And now we have to work on the cameras, but first let me save. Would you build some kind of dev team to make more content to Warcraft 3 if your Patreon income would be big enough? So, specify big enough, because it's a very, very, how can I say, broad sentence, a broad word, broad definition. And you should always consider that making stuff on a certain scale with a certain quality requires some kind of experience, rules, and especially a specific way to work. Okay, if I had to train someone to work like I do, I will take a lot more time than doing it myself at the current state of things. And you cannot trust people to work on these kind of things steadily unless they are paid. Okay, but whatever I can pay or I could pay, even if the Patreon will be big enough, it will not be like a real work. I mean, unless my Patreon page earns me like 3 times an average salary, I could not afford to pay one person an average salary. So this is something you have to consider. Imagine I train someone and I spend like 2 months training him to work like I do. Okay, and we think someone very good. Okay, someone with experience, someone which is very smart and which in 2 months is basically a clone of mine, working wise in Warcraft 3 Reforged World Editor. And the chance that he will just disappear from one point to the other, from one day to the next, is big. Okay, there is no obligation, and so that would be time waste for me. And this is the more true the less resources I have. So unless I turn this into a company, but I cannot turn this into a company because a spoiler, there is already a company owning this game, it's quite unlikely this to be possible. And if you cite some big project like CSVW, in that case, they have issues like that. Okay, they are committed, but there are people, there are contributors who sometimes just disappear and vanish. And so, for example, you have to do a whole set of voice lines. Some kind of stuff you cannot do as a professional environment unless you are alone, so you can count on yourself, or unless you pay people the wage of a regular salary in that work environment. It's just how things work, I think. Yes, you could be lucky and it might work, but maybe it will not. And this is difficult, okay? I hope you understand what I mean, because sometimes people think that I don't want people to help me making maps because I don't want. But it's because I will work less and will be harder. What do you mean? I already have voice actors because I have all the Blizzard stuff. They kindly provided all voice actors to me by making the game in the first place. So I must thank our beloved company for that. Thank you, Blizzard, for providing at least voice lines to your games. This is something I could really live without. Okay, so let me see some cameras. A very black ship. Okay, so first one we said. Ah, you meant for custom? Yes, of course. In that case, I will need voice actors, and yes, if I only had to pay voice actors, that will be doable. I will need to write a script before going into production, and so I should have all the lines before going into production, because one of the risks, you go into production and then stuff change. Or maybe you make the maps without voice sounds and then you record voice sounds depending on the maps. This is also another very neat solution, which allows you to have more freedom. But as a personal advice, you should always try to not have too much freedom when you work on something that is creative. The more freedom you have, the worse what you do will probably be, because you will tend to get lost unless you are really experienced. If you work with specific constraints, around specific constraints, your work will be better. Of course, I'm speaking about creative limitations, not technical limitations. Okay, if the game runs very bad, well, this is not a good limitation. Okay, this is a bad limitation. So we have artists here with a ship. I think this shot could be quite nice. You should think there should not be those two units, those two dwarfs, only Meridian, the captains, and the artists. And maybe the ship is too far away. Well, a bit closer. Please be selected. Yes, something like that. So tragic. Okay. And so we have something like this. The broken ship and the broken man with a broken army. Okay, so oh no, this is bad. Bad news. This is very, very sad. Oh no, camera bounce. Don't do this to me. So I basically have a bit of limitations because of the camera bounce. Oh gosh. I had not considered that. So let me check. Yeah. This is sad. But I can probably work around it some way. Let me check. Maybe something like that. Why is this outside of the camera bounds? Maybe because it's... Let me check this. And let me rotate here. This will probably be better. Let me decrease the distance to like 100. Okay. And increase the Z offset. No, I will not extend the map. There is no need. Trust me. Trust me, trust me. I know. 90 is a big. Okay, this is big too much. Better this way. Okay, let me remove this one. How can I remove him? And then au revoir. Okay. Well, this is scene 02. 801. This is a bit. This is not that good, so we move here. And let's rotate this. And let me move this here. Okay, this is the most. I cannot move more than that. I can move in this other direction. So I will not have the best shot of the world, but I think we can work around it some way. Just trust the plan. Okay. I will probably move Muradin a bit closer. I want him to be more or less here. Maybe Muradin could be a bit closer here, and so we have them at the right position. Then we go close by here, perfect. And move here. It's not so easy, but we will work it out. We'll do it. Okay, maybe too much. This should be quite right, like this position. And one of the smaller camera in the world. And then I will place him right here. We will bring him a bit close. It's fine anyway, because these units will still be around Muradin then, and behind them. After that we have this other shot we need to make. This one should be easier, I think. Let me check. This is one, and then Muradin, you are really not close enough. Come closer to your friend. Here. And then we have here the Prince Hartas. Outside the camera bounds. Inside, perfect. Okay, this is not good. Let me check. I can't move. In which direction can I move? A bit here. Smash. You're a citizen today. Okay. Okay-ish. Better. Too close. Let me increase this and decrease that. Yeah, we have like this line. If only I could move a bit on that side. Perfect. Okay, better. And this way. This is camera B01. And of course this is wrong. This is scene 02 B01. And this is just A because it's fixed. They all turn here. And then once they turned, I'm going to make them close. So from here you will rotate here and actually go here to show the troops. And this is fine, of course. Let me make sure I'm not exaggerating with these in order to improve performances. This one is 5,000. I think it's yes, it's enough. This one doesn't need to be 5,000. This can be actually 3,000 without any further ado. Okay. Now, after that, we have Arthas who replies. So Arthas is like watching here. And from afar, I think from afar, it could be nice to show this from afar. This is still outside the camera bounds. Let me check. So we have like here. Okay, and this is C01. And I don't want here to have a close shot on Arthas, because he doesn't need to have a close shot when saying that. We need to actually, while he's saying that, focus on the units, on the fortress of Valenfort who are attacking the mercenaries. So we will remove that one. We will try to go as close as possible to the camera bounds. Okay, this is how much it is possible. And then from top we can a bit reduce this. Oh my god, wrong number, better. Like that. Like that. These. And with these trees we can move from here. And we can also reduce these because there is no need. And that one is 60 and perfect. And from that we can just move here to see they charge. From that point onwards we will fade to black, hear some fight noise, and then we will see all them death. And when we see all them death, we will have this from Arthas, with Muradin now watching towards Arthas and be a bit closer, but doesn't mean that much, not so important. We will have this incredible thing, like I think something like that. Scene 02, D01. This needs a bit longer, and we start from this position, maybe even closer a little bit. Perfect. And we move on to this position up here. Scene 02, D02. And maybe of course a bit higher, and to increase the tension we will reduce a bit the distance, maybe something like that. So we start from here to that here. Quite slow movement while Arthas speak, maybe even a bit lower here. And this, okay, so I can see Muradin, this is important, I need to see Muradin. This, so this, okay. I like that. This should be quite fine as a basic setup. What do you think? Now it comes the boring part, the part in which I have to write the code, set up everything, and to teleport everything and do everything. This is very boring. Looks really good, thank you. Currently it's just in my head and my words. More than anything else. But I would love you people to try to do this kind of stuff, okay? You can try to make cinematics. Just use my templates and try to do this kind of things. I think you will learn a lot from even yourself and your taste by doing these things, because you will see that after a while some stuff will become just normal. Okay, don't even have to think that much about it. So let's do a little bit of scripting here. Okay, we need to do a lot of things, and so we have Marvin Falric, Valen Fort. Muradin doesn't walk. Bye bye Muradin. Arthas doesn't walk, but we have Valen Fort. I mean, I think I can do this. Yes, I have a lot of run sounds. Then I have footman B run sound, footman C run sound, footman D run sound. Then I have knight A run sound and knight B run sound. I will just use those, okay? Because are the first units, the other I don't need to hear them walking. Then I have knight A, knight B. Then I have footman A, footman B, footman C, footman D, footman A. If I remember correctly, let me check if I'm missing someone. Footman A, B, C, D. And A. Okay, yes, because there is that. Okay, so A. Took knights. One mortar team. The rifleman. Then we have priest, 4 peasants, then I have let me check. I think I'm done. Just the mercenaries. So I have troll mercenaries, and these will be a group. I think this should be big enough. Okay. Then I have Tusker, my group, and then I finally have Clapper. Let me use the plural because I like plural. This. Okay. Hey, where did I go? Okay. Perfect. Those groups are easier to work with because I don't need to move them, so I can just kill them all and have them fight against one of the units I choose. I can choose a random unit from the group and attack, or whatever I want. I mean, it's not that complex. Okay, so I can just even turn them neutral hostile and see what happens. It will be fine too. But usually I will probably just say, okay, this group will attack one unit, this group will attack another unit, and this group will attack another unit, and we'll see what happens. But they will just need to start moving towards the fight. They don't need to actually fight. We don't need to see them fight completely. It will be much harder to make. I made some of battle scenes. For example, in the prologue there is a battle scene when you in the third map you attack the camp of the Kultiras. Then you have all the battle scene. What's the most time-consuming part of remaking a map? I will say that depends. For this map, the most time-consuming part is for sure to remake the terrain and all the encounters. There are a lot of encounters, a lot of things that happens, and so that was the longest part. But for example, if we open another map, And for instance, we open the culling of Stratholm. Let me open it a bit. For the culling, it was something completely different. Cinematics usually do take a lot of time, but it's not the most time-consuming part. It depends on the cinematic. The first cinematic of this map, the last map, is very time-consuming. I think this final cinematic will not be as time-consuming. For example, if we come here, you have no idea how much time did it took. Okay, I removed the rain because it tends to crash in the new editor. Some things. You have no idea how much time it took me to design this kind of stuff. These are hash tables, and I use them to create citizens and set their behavior. And so we have a ton of triggers and a ton of things that happens. This happens every random real number between 3 and 4 game time seconds. And you have no idea of how many things can go wrong in this piece of code that is done to control all the citizens of Stratholm at any given time using hash tables. This is quite complex. Okay, this is very optimized, very fast, but very complex. And this is through this that you can actually have people wandering around that seems alive and not just useless props waiting to die. But this is costly. Okay, this is what happens when one is attacked, for example, or when they flee. A lot of code. And this is for everything. This is the start system of the buildings in Stratholm, for example. Okay, because also the building have all of these hash tables and random stuff that makes every time you play the map a bit different. And this is very useful for replayability and to make each experience a bit more unique. And it's something very subtle, but it's very effective. So something like that, or even the Malganis logic. Some of the Malganis logic, it's quite complex, and it also has AI. Okay, so it's ton of triggers. In the case of the culling of Stratholm, the AI of all the AI of the enemies and all of this and of all the citizens was the most long part. For example, if we are almost done with the stream, so I will just speak about this kind of things. If we take this map, which is the map I have redone the most, which is the map outside of Hamdural, which I turned into a would be I turned into a Dota kind of map. This one, the longest part was to actually make and balance the system, the attack waves, because it's all scripted. There is no AI, because Warcraft 3 AI doesn't support attack waves in a Dota style. So I had to script them by triggers, and I'm loading it right now. Yes, training a person to do what I do is hard. I mean, you're welcome to try. I mean, you want to try, you want to show me. If some of you come here and say, hey, insane monster, I am as good as you are doing this kind of things and I can work them myself. Show me, I would love to see you. Okay, and I will gladly take your help, but not if I have to teach you to do everything. That will be terrible. Very time consuming. And for example, in that year, you have an incredible amount of triggers just to control all of the system that works in the waves. These are the waves. Each tent makes a decision, which this is for already released map. So I'm speaking about the map which is already released, that one. Yes, I will show them to you in a second. And in this case, for example, you have each tent which makes its own decision towards reaching a certain threshold of units trained by the system, and each tent has also controls to make sure that his behavior is adjusted when you take control of a control point. And so you have that for each tent. Okay, and it's quite long to make. It's quite complex to define. When it's impossible to do like that, I usually use the hash tables, but I'm trying not to use too much of tables to avoid over-engineering everything and making it impossible to read for people. I want people to be able to learn from this if they want. Since there is a bit of renewed interest in Warcraft 3 since when Reforged came out, I think that having stuff like that, which is complex, which is quite evoluted to be easy to read for people, it's a very important perk, because people can learn from it. If I use Ash tables, almost all people who would like to work in the editor to make campaign maps have not the knowledge required to understand it fully. Of course, there are a lot of people on Hive Workshop who can understand what I do without any problem, but they are not usually the same that makes map. They usually code and make systems and libraries and stuff like that. So I'm trying to help the target audience of my maps, at least for what concerns the editor. And so there is a lot of things. Okay, for example, the control points are like that. You have to check a bit of things when you capture a control point. It's not easy. It's amazing when you play in Battlefront, but to remake it's quite difficult in this engine. To expand the map. To expand the map, this should be here. First of all, never expand the map when you are not in a cinematic, because if you expand the map while you are playing, UI of the minimap will not look that great. So if you want to make the most polished thing possible, wait for a cinematic and then expand the map. Okay, this is the trick. Expand the map when you are fade to black or when your UI is hidden. So I will show you that. If you want, I can explain that to you in a second. So this code could be found even here. This is the Arch Necromancer, and this actually restrict the area to just the small segment where Kel'Thuzad is. Okay, this map is a released map, so you should know what I am saying. And this is the code you are looking for, Bosch Zeki bro. This is the code you're looking for. Okay, right here. Set the camera bounce to a certain camera bound and then change the minimap. This is what I do on cinematic setup in order to expand the camera bounds to the default one, to have the most possible space for my cinematics, for my cameras, in order to not incur in the error, in the problem I had just before, and the cinematics you saw just a minute earlier in the last map. And then on the cleanup, when you are going back to the game, you have this. Set the camera bounce to an area. In order to make this area, you should copy the map and then move the camera bounce where you want them. You can show them using the view, like that. You can view camera bounce, and they are shown like that. You can then design a region around that camera bounce, and then you can copy all the coordinates of that region into a new region in your own map, which has not changed the camera bounce, because when you change the camera bounce you delete units. And this is used to do that. And then when you have the camera bounce correctly designed in the copied map, you should export the minimap by going here. Okay, export minimap, and this will make your minimap. And then you just go back here and change the minimap texture. If you do that when the UI is hidden and you're fade to black, you will not notice anything, and oh my god, the camera bounce changed. Incredible trick. Of course, this requires a bit of manual setup. It's not as easy as in StarCraft do, where minimap and camera bounce adjust accordingly and automatically. To remove the classic portrait in cinematics, you have to overwrite the default frame definition. Okay, you have to overwrite the default frames of the game. This is what I use, and this hide portrait during cinematic. Remove the background. I cannot hide it. I commented it to explain to myself and to anyone else. And then I change where the text is, and this is the same, just for the speaker. And finally, I align to center in order to have it correctly aligned like a movie, like the subtitles of a movie. And if that scares you, the right arm, I don't want to know what you could say by reading that code, which is the code for the codex dialog, and which uses custom frame definition files in order to have it completely integrated into the game. Okay, I don't speak Russian, but are there any additional tasks planned for the type of killing Arthas of his soldiers and the resurrection on the invincible horse? I will not show Arthas killing his soldiers, but I plan to end the campaign, actually the final map of the campaign, which is a very small playable interlude with Arthas watching his men and saying Frostmourne hungers with the lines, with his Dead Knight lines, and then it fades to black. This is what I wanted to do, and this is, I think, the perfect incipit for the cinematic you should see when playing the campaign, which is the Call to Arms cinematic. I think it's called like that. And for what concerns Invincible Horse, I want to show it as the first part of the first cinematic in the Undead campaign. Basically, I want to show Arthas walking, and then going to his horse grave, resurrecting his horse, and when that happens, it will be teleported to Tichondrius, and then the first map starts. This is my idea in order to connect it, and you should see the usual logo. Warcraft 3 Re-Reforged, Insane Monster Presence, when you have the Invincible cinematic. I used tutorials a bit to learn some stuff. For example, to learn how the frame works, because they are quite strange. But I am a professional programmer. I am a software engineer, so I know how this kind of things work. I can program in multiple languages. I know how to write XML, HTML, CSS, and all these kind of things. I know how to program object-oriented. I know how to program without objects. So it's easier for me to learn this kind of things. Okay, it's just simpler. It's because I have prior knowledge of this kind of things. It's not that it's magic. It's just that I have studied a lot of times, for a lot of years, a lot of things that are related to this, and because of that, I can learn quite fast to adapt to an engine. If you work with Unity engine, whatever you do here, it's simple. Because if you want to code in C#, an entire system, you should think that here you already have the system done for you, and you have just to tweak things with triggers. And if you work in Unity editor, most of the system you have to make, except for the graphics one, which also you have to tweak to your own likings. So it's a different scope, different scale. This is more like, I don't know, it's a professional work, but it's still, I think, a bit easier than working from scratch. Of course it has its kind of problem, but this everything has its pros and cons. It's impossible to have something which is only positive. Okay, I'm tired. I spoke a lot last 10 minutes. I didn't show you anything new in that map. I'm sorry, but I promise I'm trying to finish this map as soon as I can, so that I can have feedback and from beta testers, and I'm now open to additional questions, I mean, if you have any. And as a final note, I would like to ask you all to follow on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube, and if you can, join the Discord server, and of course, if you can, to join the Patreon page. I would really love to have to increase the community there, and it's a huge task. I hope through this kind of development streams you can see both what I think and how I work, and we can discuss things together, but also you can see how much work everything is, because even the simplest of things require a lot of thoughts to be done in the way you now expect it to be done, because I cannot make something which is subpar, not anymore. I have to make things the way you expect them to be, and this is not easy by on my end. So if you have something to spare, you want to support, I appreciate your support. And of course, follow, like, and subscribe are free, so why don't do that? If no one has any other question, I will say you have a nice weekend. I will prepare a schedule for next week, and my plan is to become Twitch affiliate as soon as possible. I have the right amount of followers, I have the right amount of viewers. I just need to stream for enough days in a week. This is not easy for me, so it's quite fun. It's probably the easiest of the requirements is the hardest for me, and so goodbye, good night, and I hope you have fun with the project, with the game, and even with the editor. If you have time, do try working with the editor, it's fun. Good night. Thank you for joining, I really appreciate it. Bye bye guys, have a nice weekend.